Growing up, I had many ideas about what I wanted to do with my life. At one point, I wanted to be a veterinarian because I just love my dog so much. And then I realized I was on the swim team, so I should be a marine biologist and go swim with the dolphins. And then my parents sent me to marine biology camp where we had to dissect a fish, and I no longer wanted to do that. Then I wanted to be an actor, and I sent in an audition tape to a Disney Channel open casting call. They did not call me back. And that's why I'm here. Then in middle school, I decided that I wanted to be a therapist. I thought I gave pretty good advice. I held on to that idea through all of middle and high school. And at the time, the idea that I would do anything besides therapy was radical to me. Now, I'm a social worker, but I don't work for CPS, or in a school, or at a hospital, and I'm definitely not giving anybody therapy. I am a political social worker, which many people consider to be impossible. But I'm not alone. There are a whole 2 social workers in Congress right now. And I'd be willing to bet most of y'all had very strict plans for your lives. And I bet very few of you are anywhere close to that plan now, even if there was a time when diverting from that plan seemed impossible. Changing our perspective of what is or isn't possible is a big part of growing up, but it's also a skill we need to take with us into adulthood. As a social worker, I look at political frameworks through a different lens, and there's one I want to share with you that might change how you view the world. The Overton window is normally used to describe the popularity of policy, but today, we're going to break it down and learn how to apply it to our own lives and shift our understanding of what's truly possible. You may be asking, Casey, what the heck is the Overton window? Don't worry, dear listener. I'll explain. And we're not on a first-name basis. The idea came around in the 1990s by a guy named Joseph Overton. Shocking, I know. He worked for a think tank and created the window to explain to donors why think tanks like his even exist. He said, ideas become policy only after moving from unthinkable notions to becoming popular ideas. So he created a brochure with a little cardboard slider. And on the brochure was all these policies on a single issue, ranging from one extreme to the other. But only the policies within the slider were considered acceptable. And over the years, as beliefs and norms changed, the slider shifted. So some policies that used to be considered radical were then considered acceptable. And some policies that used to be acceptable were then considered radical. Let me give you an example. College tuition. We all know UNC is not exactly cheap, nor are most universities. But did you know from the 1860s to the 1960s, state universities were tuition-free? Then a lot happened. Some guy said something about the dangers of an educated proletariat. I'll let you do your own research on that. And college tuition came around. Now, according to the New York Times, the Overton window is a descriptor, not a tactic. What I'm proposing, though, is a tactic. If I stood up here and said, college should be free, no tuition, no fees, free room and board. In fact, I think y'all should all get stipends just for going to school. I might be seen as a bit radical, but what I've done is I've set the goalpost for what is radical. So if the next person comes up here and says, yikes, I don't know what they were talking about, but I think maybe community college shouldn't have tuition, that suddenly seems a lot more reasonable, even to somebody who would have called them a communist the day before. My radical idea made the second one easier to digest. All right, now let's get away from politics. A couple of y'all look like you're about to pass out. I believe we can use this strategy in our own lives to change what we believe is possible for ourselves. I like to think of the brochure as the scale of reality. That's the same for everybody. And the cardboard slider is our own personal window, explaining what is normal, acceptable, and radical. Think wake-up times. For our visual learners, I'm going to use the stage as the scale of reality. So if this end is 12 a.m. midnight, and all the way over there is 11:59 p.m., and around here, can you be my noon? Oh, thank you, you're a doll. Now somewhere on this scale, everybody has to wake up. My personal window is around here. 8:30 is pretty normal for me. If I have to wake up at 8, that's acceptable. And if I sleep in until 9, that's fine too. But if I sleep in until midnight, well, that's radical because it's throwing off my sleep schedule. And if I have to wake up at 6 a.m., oh, something radical is gonna be happening. That's my personal window. But there's somebody else on campus whose window is here, and their normal is about 4 a.m. If they woke up at 8:30, even though that's my normal, that would be radical for them because now they're missing class. But if I start complaining about waking up at 6 a.m., and they say, hey, I wake up at 4 a.m. every day, shut up. I'm gonna shut up because they have set the goalposts for what is radical and made that 6 a.m. time seem a lot more reasonable. So if you're still not buying this tactic, please know there is some psychology behind this. I would know. I was a psych minor in undergrad. The point is, if we can move the goalposts for what we consider radical in our lives, we can change what we think is acceptable for ourselves. If you're trying to quit a bad habit, you don't have to quit cold turkey the next day. That's radical and probably won't work. But if you set completely quitting as the goalpost and acknowledge it as radical, then the small steps you have to take toward it might seem more reasonable. And the same goes for a good habit that you're trying to start. As we take steps toward our goal, our window moves with us. But remember what I said at the beginning. Not only do previously radical ideas become acceptable, but previously acceptable ideas become radical. A 2016 study out of Seattle Pacific University discusses the effects of constant negative self-talk, usually written off as self-deprecating humor. Despite seeming small, the repetition normalizes the negative things being said and increases the risk for self-harm. When something moves our window, even accidentally, it's easier for us to believe it's not that bad for us. For somebody trying to combat negative self-talk, simply adding positive self-talk isn't enough. They have to actively work to stop saying negative things about themselves. And as their window moves, the things they used to say and believe about themselves, that they're worthless, that they're undeserving, start to seem more and more radical. And that's the goal, to not only step into our new life, but to make going back to our old life seem impossible. I want you to look at where you are, and I mean that literally and figuratively. Think of the things you've done in your life. There was a time when the things you're doing seemed impossible, and now you don't even think twice about it. So the next time you have a goal you don't think is possible, just picture the window. It might seem radical now, but eventually it might start to seem acceptable. And one day, it might even be your new normal. You don't have to wonder if you can do the impossible. Just look around. You've already done it. Thank you.